Hi. Hi, folks. I'm Malia Nagle, and I lead product design and insight for Tala, a fintech startup. Tala helps people in emerging markets that get financial services from legacy institutions. So we offer fast, seamless, and easy microloans. And when I say microloans, it's really around 10 US dollars to about 200 US dollars. And these are in 5 markets: India, Kenya, Mexico, Philippines, and Peru. So I ran into Julia at Collab, and I have a great story about how we initially met for another time. So please ask me about it. But when she approached me about doing this talk, she asked me if I do anything different now that I've transitioned from research leadership to design leadership, and now into a hybrid leader who looks after both design and research. And I said, heck yes. And she invited me to come here, and she challenged me to please be provocative. So here we go. Today, I'm going to focus on a few transitions I've made in understanding our relationship with our customers and our role as customer champions, what kind of research the team conducts, and what is no longer our focus, and how we ensure that the products and features we launch are usable by our customers. So when I was a research leader at PayPal and Venmo from 2014 to 2019, before I changed into design leadership, my team and I aligned on the notion, as I'm sure many of you did, that the customer is king. We thought, with very good intention, that by deeply understanding the customer and their pain points and funneling that back up to the decision makers, that we would have an impact on how the products were developed. And that's why we all got into this field, right? As Sarah mentioned, we're passionate about making products more usable, more friendly, more accessible. We celebrated when leadership brought up the customer in a meeting or when teams talked about the user-centered design process. But at the time, we didn't talk about or focus on business outcomes or profitability. And we cared about positive customer outcomes. And naturally, those two things have tension. But often, this is how things played out. Our team would uncover a pain point in either the experience or something that we weren't solving for. We'd report it, we'd socialize it, I'd go knocking on the doors, and really with no results because either at the time, it wasn't a business priority, or it wasn't the right priority at the right time. So we'd return to our desks back when we were all in person and worked from the office, and we'd be, complaining, why does no one ever listen to us? Why are we the only ones who care about the customer? And this left me and the team feeling a bit helpless and disappointed. And, what did Sarah say earlier, like the martyrs of being customer champions? But in my new role, I really challenged this wisdom that the customer is king. And I've done a little bit of a flip-flop. And I've now believed that the customer is an important stakeholder among many stakeholders, of which is product roadmaps and priorities, engineering timelines and capacity, and business impact and profitability. So the crown has disappeared. And I know that's uncomfortable for many of us here because no one got into this field. And I use this field very broadly because they wanted to focus on helping a company make more money. But, there's been a shift and we need to stay relevant. And we also need to provide value and influence that we seek because we want to be influential, right? We want to have impact on the products that are created. We have to embrace this tension and bring our teams along on the journey. So I sincerely believe that we can have a customer orientation while stepping into more of a business role. And I'm borrowing this analogy from Julie when we had our original talk about this, and she couldn't recall who said it to her, but we can either continue to be the angry person marching in the street, and I'd say sometimes with a chip on our shoulder, or the community organizer who changes people's minds and brings people together. So there are a couple of things that I did when I took on the role that I'm currently in 18 months ago. I updated our growth rubric first to include business strategy and acumen as a core competency. So right along with design craft or research craft. I coach the team that it's not just about knowing what makes up our annual AOP, but how the work they're executing drives that AOP and how and where we can continue to push and have an impact. And I have a little story about this. I have a couple of researchers in the Philippines, and they're longtime Talazans. So they've been with the company 6 years and 3 years. And a year ago, the business introduced a processing fee. And no customer ever would say, I would like to pay more money to borrow, right? I need money. I have to pay more money now. It was something that put us on a line with the competition. And it was also something that could help us be EBITDA profitable. And when you work for a startup, being EBITDA profitable is really important as you're thinking about how you go public. And so what I challenge the team with is the processing fee is coming. How can we ensure that we're transparent with customers about it? How can we ensure we're using the right language so they understand? And then also, how can we influence the business on when that processing fee is charged? Do you deduct it from the 500 pesos I'm borrowing off the top? Or do I pay it back later in my loan? Paying it back later in the loan was less profitable for the business through our modeling, but a better customer outcome. And that's where we had the influence and wiggle room, where we're not taking it off the top, right? And then the second thing I did, and this caused me a great deal of anxiety because I'm not great with numbers, but I started giving the financial update in our monthly product all hands. So folks were hearing from me, from design, from research, about how the business was doing. So that's how I've helped kind of orient the team to not only have the lens of the business outcomes, but to also bring the passion to their work and help remove that unhealthy mindset. And how does that manifest? First, I say we conduct responsible research. And what does responsible research mean? It means that the team has autonomy into the research that they conduct. They own their learning plans and agendas. And if a research request comes in and it doesn't ladder up to generative research that helps the business strategy or evaluative research that helps de-risk a launch, we don't do it. And consequently, we say no a lot. And I am quote unquote the bad guy, and I'm incredibly comfortable in that role, being the bad guy and saying no. So we don't conduct research, and this happens quite a lot, to stroke the ego of our product partners. Do customers like this product or feature? Is there a preference? Are they going to use it or not use it? No, we are not doing that. We also do not do research about something we already know just to convince so-and-so because they don't already know it. We don't do that. We will go influence, and we will use our influencing powers to help bring those folks along. But I'm not going to talk to 10 more people just to confirm the thing that we already know. And we also focus on research that supports long-term goal decisioning and key roadmap priorities. And those requests can come from our partners, and they do, but often I challenge our team to look around the corners. What are our partners not thinking about? And when I said we control our learning plans, I carve out time every single quarter to deep dive into these topics. So last year, for instance, I had my bags packed last year and half of this year, and I went into every single one of our countries and markets, and we did discovery research to deep dive into how people's financial goals and needs and their attitudes and preference towards credit had evolved or not post-COVID. Nobody asked the team to do this research, but the impact of it is a new credit product that will be launching in Q1. It helped push the business to say, hey, what we are offering our customers today works, kind of, but here's another opportunity where the competition is really eating us. And we were able to work with our finance team and work with our credit team to do the modeling to figure out what is profitable, what isn't. And we had to, do some trade-offs between those two, but we got there. The team also sponsored global research to understand our good but gone customers. Why are people borrowing and repaying, but they're not coming back? Part of it is we learned about our first loan limits weren't high enough. So we worked with the credit team to what happens if we just give people what they need? And so we're working through that experiment right now. And finally, we do a lot of research that historically has been seen as boring, repetitive, unsexy. Does this product work as intended? We do a lot of usability. We do write testing, we do moderated, we do unmod, and we follow that design through launch. So we're not just taking the Figma file and saying, here, engineers, good luck. Let us know how it goes, right? We're the squeaky wheel. We filed design bugs. We filed JIRA tickets as design bugs when things aren't working, right? We're hyper-focused on the micro interactions and the pixels being perfect. And then we do post-launch analysis and evaluation to track that success. So to put this into practice, the customer's not king. They're a stakeholder, and our jobs are to bridge the gap between customer needs and business outcomes. We do responsible research by saying no more often, and we look around corners to find ways that can inform product strategy. And we obsess over the user experience. We test and test again, and we stay vigilant from handoff to launch and beyond. So if there's only one thing I want you to take away from this talk, is that it takes time to be comfortable with the uncomfortable, but you have the power to make that change. I have a colleague in Kenya who last week took over a really large project, and she held a kickoff meeting for her first time of taking over this project. And she started the meeting with saying, hey folks, this is my first time. Please give grace. And so I will leave you with this reminder to also give grace to yourself, to your team, and to your partners throughout this journey. With that, thank you.